So, Chef Dan, you have so much going on in both of your restaurants, but one of the things that I think a lot of the chefs and even people who are not working in the food industry are familiar with row 7 and the produce and these interesting things that you're doing there. So we'd love to talk a little bit about row 7, how that got started, and some of the things like the sweet garlic, the badger flame beads, all the cool things that you're doing with row 7.
Yeah, so row 7 was started right here in this kitchen. I like to say it was started about 10 years before we actually started the company because I had this conversation with a squash breeder named Michael Mazurik. He was just an up and coming squash breeder. I didn't know anything about seeds genetics. All I knew was like heirlooms is what I was like the evangelist for. Old stuff, heritage, everything, because that's where the flavor is. Is what most chefs feel. It's true. But then he came into the kitchen after his meal, and I didn't know what to say to a squash breeder. So I said the first thing that came to my mind. I was like, why don't you breed a butternut squash that actually tastes good? Why are we told in every recipe to add maple syrup and brown sugar and butter to make the thing taste good? And he got very serious and he said, I've never bred a butternut squash that tastes good because no one's ever asked me to select for flavor. And that was it was sort of like the lights went out and the curtain went down. It was like a before and after moment because up until that time, I never considered like a modern breeder. I thought modern breeders were like GMOs and then like, CRISPR and all this technology I wanted to be a part of. And I wanted to honor the past. But then this journey of like creating a butternut squash that actually tastes good with him. Like I was like it was like graduate school. What you learn is like these guys and women, breeders, like scientists today, they don't talk to you and I, they talk to the industry. And what does the industry want? Nobody would say I'm anti-flavor, but everyone would say I'm really pro yield. I'm very pro shelf life. I'm very, very pro size, shape, color. Like it has to be exact, it has to fit in a SKU, which is how the whole food system works. It's all calculated by SKUs and distribution and storage and all of that, and in the centers for distribution, and then in the marketplace everything needs to look the same and perfect. So that takes breeding. That's like very hard to do, and that's about selection. So you have to prioritize selection. So what if this became the company, Row 7? What if chefs were at the table of the conversation, and had a voice, had a stake, because we do have a stake. And then I'm learning, I'm like, well, okay, not only can you select for old genetics, like old flavors that are in old genetics, but you can marry those with modern varieties and create a very productive, delicious, modern variety of whatever you want. And squash was the thing we worked on. I was like super excited to be involved with it. And trial number 898, we all love the most, bringing it to the industry. Everyone says that'll never work because the squash was about 40% smaller. So it looked like a butternut squash. I don't have it in front of me, but it looked like butternut squash. But
Is that the Honeynut?
Yeah, that's it. Became the Honeynut.
Yeah.
What you just said. Yeah. Trial number 898 was the Honeynut.
Wow.
And we just sent it out to a bunch of chefs and advocated for it. And the thing like spark, it's like kindling. And also, I'm gonna fast forward just for the interest of time here. It's 15 years later. This Honeynut is in Costco. It's in Walmart. It's in Whole Foods, Trader Joe's. It's in every major farmer's market from here to LA. It's grown on thousands of acres, and it's upending the squash market, which is 85% of squash that we eat. And so that whole thing got me to realize, like, without any advocacy, I mean, yes, I did some social media, and chef friends did a lot of social media, because it's delicious. I mean, this is kind of squash you put in the oven. You've had it. It sounds like you've had it.
Yeah, the flavor is
you've
amazing.
Had it. Yeah. It's amazing.
A sprinkle of salt.
Yeah, they have them.
That's it. It's salt. It's like nothing else.
Yeah. You get them at our farmer's market. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they grow them out in Marengo, Illinois now.
Right. That was just selecting for flavor, and it's 40% smaller, so it's got 40% less water at least. I mean,
Nice.
butternut squash is like 80% water, and that's a superfood. So I don't know what the hell Honeynut is, but I was like, what? I started meeting all these breeders, and they all had. Everyone was like, "Oh, I have this variety in my desk drawer that everyone has said won't work." I mean, how many conversations I've had like that? It's incredible, and that's why we started the company, because we had this hopper of like Honeynut squashes, the Badger Flame Beet. I don't know if you ever heard of that. That was from a breeder in Wisconsin, who I was right here in the kitchen. Another, like, not that long after that conversation with the squash breeder, he's like, called me up. He said, "Hey, I hear you're interested about new varieties." He's like, so excited to talk to someone who's interested in flavor. And he's like, "I'd love to show you some of my beets." So I was literally on the phone with him. Okay. And a captain comes in the kitchen. Okay, so remember, no menus. Back then we were doing tips, so the waiters were making their money on the tips. And at the bottom you put the allergies. You put the name, you put the allergies, like, and the ticket comes in. It was like we had like 25 tickets that night. I would say, no shit, 20 of them was like allergic to beets. Because it was the middle of winter. We serve a ton of beets here. I mean, people have multiple courses of beets, and their tips were suffering because people were pissed that they were coming and getting beets. So I was so annoyed, and it was happening while I was talking to a beet breeder, and he was like, "I think I got a beet for you." So he sends me this beet. That's this yellow beet, and turns out he created because his kids were embarrassed that he was a beet breeder. Because their friends made fun of them because the dad created the worst vegetable in the world. Aww. So he took it. He's an Orthodox Jew. His family is his whole thing. So he's like, he set out. He's also an incredibly brilliant scientist. So he set out to figure out, why do kids hate beets, actually? And there's a reason. It's called geosmin. It's this cluster of compounds that is very earthy, and kids are very sensitive.
They say it tastes like dirt.
Yeah, dirt. Yeah, geosmin. And so he selected against geosmin and created a almost non-existent geosmin. Actually, it has some geosmin. Otherwise, it would taste like a potato. But it has some geosmin. But it's stunning. It is a stunner. It is so beautiful. It's shaped like a sweet potato, actually, which is why the industry rejected it. It said it's not a beet. We don't have a SKU for this. So that was it. It was done. It was in his desk drawer, literally. So we started the company with it, and now it's grown. I'm not being arrogant or haughty. It's not me. I had nothing to do with it. I just, like any idiot, would taste this thing and be like, "It's the most unbelievable beet you've ever tasted." Right. You can eat it raw, literally raw. We shave it raw for a salad because it's so low geosmin. You enjoy it. You can eat it like a carrot. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think your sous chef Kylie and Nick, they were like always like, "You got to try this beet," and they would shave it off. They're like, "You want a beet snack? You want a beet snack?"
They were. Like,
I love this beet, so keep it coming.
They get 5% of all sales, so that's probably
No, I'm kidding. You got a commission structure going with your chefs over there. They're like, "How many beets can I get you into today, Adrian, before you go?" But I have like the midnight Romas at my house right now, because I used one of my good buddies who I lived across the street from. He grew up in Indiana, and he's a great we're in backyards on the south side of Chicago. This guy plants an unbelievable garden. It's gorgeous. And he did it the first year, and I was so impressed, and I tried to plant a garden, and everything died, and I suck at it. So I bought some of the Row 7 Midnight Roma seeds, and I was really excited about them. And I was afraid to grow them because I didn't think I could do it. So I gave them to him, and now he's been growing them for 4 or 5 years now.
Wow.
Because he saves the seeds and does the whole thing.
Nice.
It's a deep, dark tomato, right?
Yeah. And so it's black on the top, and they're unbelievably delicious. They make a great tomato sauce. We make salads with them. But every time he comes over, he always brings me some, whenever we do dinner or whatever, and I make sauces, and then I'll send him back jars of sauce.
It's the best tomato in the world. Hey, Aria, can you get the Midnight Roma jelly that we made from Kylie just last night? I want you to see this thing we just did last night. I'm so excited about it. But that's a Roma tomato. That when was the last time you had actually a paste Roma tomato that tasted really good?
Right.
I mean, they don't exist.
Yeah.
The old ones do. Old obviously heirlooms do. But yeah.
But we're growing those on 92nd Street.
No shit. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How many seeds are in the Row 7 catalog now?
Well, right now there's probably 20. I mean, we're a tiny company. We select each one. They have rich stories. Thank you. Thank you. My chef, Nick, who you mentioned, he because we were doing like the smoked sort of tomato condiment with the midnight Romas, but we took off the skin because the skin it's very it's thick, and so it didn't work in there. But the skin, as you just said, it's black and it's so awesome. So he took it, and I don't know if you can see this, but he just pureed it. So that's skin and water.
Oh
wow!
I mean, it's totally jellified, and that's all the pectin in it.
I was going to say, is the pectin that high in the skin?
Yeah, yeah. It's that's crazy, cool. And the flavor's so. I mean, it's very. It's like it's tannic, but it's like a whole different dimension of tomato. It's tomato tannic, not grape tannic. It's so interesting. So I made a jelly out of that, and I made a tartare of the midnight Roma and mixed the jelly of the skins, and it was so good.
That sounds awesome.
I was so happy last night doing that. I was like,
and that color is so gorgeous. And that's why I agree. Chefs should be more involved in this process, because we're not selecting for drought resistance. We're not selecting for insect resistance. We're selecting for what tastes good. And everything else comes after that. Like, I don't care if the color of the flesh of the squash is the deepest orange color, is the flavor at the peak that it could be. You're not selecting beets for higher sugar content. You're selecting for intense flavor.
Totally. And chefs need to be at the table, because we curate this stuff every night.
Yeah.
That's the idea. And if there's a grander thing, if there's like a overriding idea here, it's what you just said. It's like chefs need to be in the conversation, because without chefs, we end up in a place where we are now, which is 65% of our seed supply is in the hands of 4 companies.
Chemical companies, right?
And they're all chemical companies.
Yeah.
They're all chemical. So it's like, you don't make money on the seed, you make money on the chemical intervention. So my question to you is, what is the incentive for a chemical company to have a strong plant that doesn't need chemicals?
Right.
I mean, it's such a rigged game. It makes me sick. So I started this thing really because I wanted to advocate for some, what I call the refugia breeders, the people who kept these seeds around because they were excited about it, and even though no one wanted them. So I wanted to be like the Ellis Island for the rejects and the uncoveted, and just keep it as a small, whatever thing. But, it gives me chills just thinking about it, because, I think you guys feel this way too. It's like, every day, we love this job. It's the best industry in the world. It has its problems, but it's the best industry in the world. But there is a sense of, in the white tablecloth world, which we're in, that you're catering to a very, very elite crowd. You are. Food is expensive. I'm looking at 30 cooks. I'm cooking for 45 people tonight. It's like it's a hard game, and it costs a lot of money, and it's a rarefied world. And the idea that at my age anyway, I'm 55, that's all you do with your career. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's not that. It's just that as any chef, when they get to a certain age, it's like you want the vectors to stop pointing in and point out, and how do you do that? I think one way, there's many ways, but one, look, Jose Andres does it another way. There's many ways up the hill of getting what you've learned out to a larger audience. But one way is to democratize seed and to democratize flavor. And by the way, nutrition, because everything we're talking about is nutrition. It's high nutrition. Right. Flavor are flavonoids. Flavonoids are nutrition. So you cannot have one without the other. That also is a late inning revelation. I never understood that. So good food is good for you. And most often, it's very good for the farmer, because it means that if it tastes good and has high nutrition, it's a strong plant. A strong plant does not need chemicals to intervene. So all of a sudden, you've got within this tiny little seed, kind of like string theory, you got the thing that answers a lot of problems. And I like that idea a lot. This isn't why I started the company. If I was that smart, I would admit it. I'm not. I just started because I was excited for more stuff for me. This was 8 years ago, for my kitchen. And I wanted to fund it. Now I'm like, I don't know. The thing is, like, I love to go into a supermarket and see our varieties, because we're also a produce company now, not just a seed company. Our varieties are growing. They're in every region of the country now. They're grown on tons of acres, large scale organic acreage in the West Coast, on the East Coast. And to me, it's like, it's very fulfilling that we're like the David and Goliath against these chemical interests. that's making our environment sick and our Americans sick. Truly, full stop. And to upend that is going to be not a, you should be more farm to table, you should be more regenerative, you should be more organic, finger pointing thing, because that lasts about as long as this conversation. But it's like, it's the thing of deliciousness. It's gonna be hedonism and pleasure and delight that I feel good about for the younger generations. I mean, they are interested in food in a way that we weren't. At least I wasn't in the 70s, 80s growing up. I mean, forget it. These guys are dialed in, these younger generation. And so I think there's a lot of hope for getting better acquainted, better understanding of what flavor is, because then you go after it.